The Great Wall at Sea was a steel reality, with the stunning high-speed serial production of the Type 056A Corvette. The People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, had forged an impenetrable shield for its coastal waters. The crisis of its vulnerable backyard, once a playground for the world's most advanced submarines, had been decisively solved. But in solving the military problem, a new, more insidious and politically complex crisis emerged. The problem of the gray zone. A modern navy is not just about preparing for a high-intensity war. It is a daily, grinding struggle for control in a space that is neither war nor peace. This is the gray zone, a world of maritime militias, of aggressive Coast Guard vessels, of fishing fleets used as instruments of national will. The plan's powerful new Corvettes were the perfect tool to hunt a submarine. But were they the right tool to police a fishing boat? A nation's maritime sovereignty is challenged not just by enemy warships, but by 1,000 small, persistent, non-military incursions. This was a crisis of escalation and attribution. Using a heavily armed gray-hulled warship to counter a civilian fishing vessel or a rival nation's Coast Guard cutter is a massive overreaction. It is a diplomatically clumsy and escalatory move that plays directly into the narrative of Chinese aggression. At the same time, the existing Chinese Coast Guard fleet, for all its size, was a collection of smaller, less capable, and often unarmed or lightly armed cutters. They were being outmatched and harassed in the contested waters of the South China Sea. This created a dangerous, missing middle. The plan's warships were too much. The Coast Guard's cutters were not enough. This left China's maritime claims vulnerable to 1,000 small cuts, a death by 1,000 challenges that did not merit a full military response, but overwhelmed a civilian one. How do you dominate the gray zone without starting a war? You need a new kind of guardian. You need a vessel with the endurance and intimidation factor of a warship, but the white hull and law enforcement mandate of a Coast Guard. You need to blur the lines between the two. The solution was one of the most brilliant and audacious strategic moves in modern maritime history. It was a decision made possible only by the staggering success and scale of the Type 056A production program. The plan was to create a new, two-layered Great Wall at Sea. The ship that would become a symbol of the mature industrial base that enabled this strategy was a late-batch vessel from this incredible production run, the CNS Wuzhou. Hull number 626. The Wuzhou was a statement of a navy with a surplus of power. Commissioned in early 2022, she was a product of a perfected assembly line. But her true significance was not just in her own capability, but in what the success of her production run allowed the plan to do. Having built over 70 of these capable Corvettes, the plan had more than enough to fulfill its core military duties. It could now afford to do the unthinkable. It began transferring dozens of its brand new, combat-ready Type 056 Corvettes directly from the Navy to the China Coast Guard. The solution was a new class of supercutter. These transferred warships were repainted from military gray to Coast Guard white, but they retained their powerful hulls, their advanced sensors, and in many cases, their 70 CB6 centimeter main guns. The CNS Wuzhou and her sisters would remain the gray-hulled inner shield, the dedicated military hunters. But now they would be supported by a new, white-hulled outer shield of their own kind, a force that could dominate the gray zone with the power of a warship, but the legitimacy of a law enforcement agency. The proof of this new, two-layered strategy is now a daily, intimidating reality in the South China Sea. We see the undeniable evidence in the footage from the region. These new white-hulled monster cutters, which are larger and more powerful than the destroyers of some regional navies, have completely changed the balance of power in the gray zone. We see them in tense standoffs with Vietnamese and Philippine Coast Guard vessels. Their sheer size and military-grade construction an overwhelming advantage. We see them using their powerful water cannons and professional maneuvering to enforce China's claims with a new level of confidence. This has freed up the gray-hulled plan corvettes like the CNS Wuzhou to focus on what they do best, high-end military operations. The proof is in the new division of labor. The Wuzhou and her sisters are seen conducting complex, multi-ship anti-submarine warfare drills, honing their warfighting skills, while their white-hulled twins handle the daily grind of sovereignty patrols. The successful transfer and effective use of over 20 of these warships is the ultimate validation of the program's success. It proves that China's industrial base did not just build a fleet, it built a surplus, a strategic reserve, the power that could be flexibly applied to solve its most complex geopolitical challenges. The legacy of the CNS Wuzhou and the Type 056A program is the creation of the world's most powerful and integrated maritime security force. It is a brilliant fusion of military and paramilitary power that has no peer. While the early ships of the class solved the submarine threat, the late batch ships like the Wuzhou are symbols of an industrial base so powerful it can afford to equip its coast guard with modern frigates. They are the ships that have allowed China to master the gray zone, to enforce its will with a force that is undeniably powerful, but plausibly deniable as a purely military act. They are the quiet professionals, the workhorses that have not only built the Great Wall at sea, but have also provided the bricks for a second, even more complex barrier. The Type 056A is more than a Corvette. It is a symbol of a nation's mastery of industrial scale production and its brilliant application to the complex challenges of 21st century maritime power. It is the ship that not only fortified China's coastline, but also empowered its new Sentinels. In the great power competition of the future, the lines will be blurred, and the nation that controls the gray zone will have the ultimate advantage. Share this video to explore the fascinating and strategically vital story of the Type 056A.